right, everybody. It's 9:36, 24 minutes in front of 10 o'clock. We are joined by two fabulous women that have birthed two fabulous men, both Neyo and T-Pain. And I said earlier, I appreciate both of them. They are both great guys that work at their job. What is the biggest thing, if I asked you both, what would be the biggest thing you did not expect since your sons have reached superstardom? The most unexpected thing. You were like, man, I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Right. Well, my current life is totally unexpected, if I could just say that. I guess I didn't realize initially that his fame would kind of...
And we're talking Neyo.
Neyo's fame would kind of bleed over into my life. I didn't really expect that. I just kind of thought, you know, that I would continue to lead my life anonymously. But apparently that's not the way it works. It's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of unexpected.
I could say for T-Pain, the biggest thing that I guess unexpected was the fact that his career would take off so large, so quick. Mm-hmm. He left home in July. August he was doing his first video, and 6 years later he's riding in a Bugatti. Like, for real. You know, so
you never thought
that it would take off so quick and be so big, and that was my unexpected part.
Tell me, when T-Pain started doing music, what was the first thing you thought? Because you just told me that you and your husband, you both full-time jobs. You had a restaurant
right
at the same time, and he wants to do music.
We felt like that was what he wanted to do, and we encouraged him to do it.
Did he do anything else when he
was
younger?
He didn't do a thing else. Nothing else. Music was his world. He didn't play basketball. He didn't go out and play with the kids. He didn't watch TV. He didn't play video games. Nothing.
All he did was music.
All he did was music. From the age of 7, he kept it moving. So
what did he do at the age of, like, what was his first music love? Was it playing an instrument? Or
it was playing
DJing,
an instrument.
What?
Playing an instrument. We got him a small keyboard. He started with that. Like I said, he was born and raised a Muslim. So his first songs that he put out on a keyboard was Jingle Bell and Silent Night. And we were like, hold on, where did you get those from? You know, so being Muslims, we didn't celebrate Christmas
right.
at all.
Right.
So his daddy was like, you know my favorite song, like National Anthem, come back with that. He came back with verse 1, 2, and made up a third one. Shayi was like, that's not in the, he said, I made that one up. So the keyboard got larger and larger over the course of years, and before that, and then after that, he wanted to go digital. All he ever did was music. Never played sports, still not into sports. Never did video games. He played video games now, of course, but music was his whole life. He went to school. After school, he came in. Everybody else was running out to play, and he didn't have girlfriends. He didn't do anything. He just did music.
So let me ask you this. Where did the outrageous costumes come from?
His imagination.
Mark,
his imagination.
Where did T-Pain's costumes come from?
Listen,
I know that's not in the Muslim family household. How did that happen?
His imagination. That boy has imagination and a mind. I mean, I was telling someone the other day, who would have thought about riding an elephant down the road to the MTV Awards with his ringleader outfit on? Who would have thought of that? Him.
That's fun.
Him. And he's a child at mind and child at heart, and anything comes to his mind, he gets it done. He performs.
Wow. Miss Loraine, what about Neyo?
Well, he was always interested in music. We have, I guess, a musical background in our family. Grandfather was in a quartet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom was in a quartet. I was in a quartet. Sang in school choirs, sang in church choirs. And my children have always been interested in music and art, both of them, Nicole and Neyo. Mm-hmm. And so they both went to performing arts school in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And actually my son went for art. He didn't go for music.
He went for art?
He went for art. He's a very, very accomplished artist. But he always wanted to do it and always believed that he would do it. The first thing that he asked me to buy for him was what he called a 4-track. I had no idea what a 4-track was.
Yeah.
And couldn't afford a 4-track because, you know, what a lot of people don't know is that I divorced their father very early, so I raised them by myself. So we actually spent some time living in the projects. And, you know, it was difficult for me to afford a 4-track, but because he was so passionate about it, and you know, he told me this is what he was going to be successful at, and I believed him, and so we bought the 4-track, and you know, the rest is kind of history. He just went on to do his thing. Yeah.
So, Mama, you was living in the projects.
Yep, living in the projects.
And your son asked for a 4-track.
Yes.
And you came up with the money.
I came up with the money to get on 4-track. Now, you know, I'm sure.
Was he a good student?
He was a fair student. He was not an all A student by any means.
Right.
But he did fairly well, and I always pushed education. But I didn't push him to go to college because, again, you know, raising him by myself, being single and struggling, I didn't finish my college until I was into my 30s. So my thought was, you can always go back to school if you know, if that's what it needs to be, but you have to go. So you know, he's done very well in his career. And
did you ever have to take that 4-track away? Like,
no.
You ever say, child, I'm gonna come in that room and get that 4-track?
No, because you know what, he was not, he was a good kid. He didn't really get into a lot of trouble. He was very focused on what he wanted to do once he decided that's what he wanted to do. And I never really had any trouble out of him. As a matter of fact, at one point when I was talking to him, because he had some friends, you know, they used to like to go out, and one of them drank, and so I was always concerned about them driving in the car. And at one point, he sat me down and he says, Mom, you know, you've raised me. He says, you've told me, you've given me all the advice. He says, now all you can do is sit back and hope that some of it sank in. And, you know, my chin kind of hit the floor when he said that, because he was 16. But he was telling the truth. You know, I've always been kind of that pep talk. I'm going to talk to you. I can make you understand what I'm saying, because I didn't punish them physically. After they got to be a certain age, I told them that I feel like you're both intelligent enough that I don't have to beat you for you to understand what I'm talking about and what I need you to do. And so far, they've held up to that. So, you know, a lot of prayers, a lot of prayers.
So when was the first time you knew your son was a star?
I think I knew my son was a star when they were on Showtime at the Apollo, even though Steve Harvey didn't think so. You know, I did. I could see it, and I always believed it, so I always, you know, supported him as much as I could.
And when was that time when you think that he just came to you and said, look, I did it? Like,
well, I was still working at the time, and his sister had asked him, you know, can I get a car? And I was like, girl, you buy your own car. And he was like, Mom, I got this. I got it now. I can get her a car. I can get her a house. I can get her whatever. And I was like, you know, okay. You know, so he had it then, but
you just didn't know.
I just didn't know. Right. It came a point where he actually sat me down and told me what he was worth at that time. And again, my jaw dropped, and I was just, you know, thank God.
He was like, why am I still working?
Actually, at that time, I wasn't working at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't wait for him to come and tell me I could quit working. You know, yeah, you know, they started giving me a hard time on my job because he started getting more and more popular, and they felt like I was going to leave, and so they started giving me a hard time on my job.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, so I was like, you know, I'm out. And so that's kind of the way it happened. But that's been a long time ago now, and now
y'all look so proud.
I'm very much so. We're living our philanthropic lives at this point.
Well, I'm glad y'all giving back. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to be at this event.
Got to.
We want to make sure everybody's there. St. Jude Inaugural Soul Celebration. We're raising money for this great establishment, finding cures and saving children with cancer and other catastrophic diseases. Don't forget, the number to call is 1-800-654-8563 or stjude.org/Soul Celebration. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Frank. We appreciate you having us.
We appreciate it. It's the Frank and Wanda Morning Show, V-103.
Hi, we're here at V-103. We just got through doing the Frank and Wanda Show. It was great. We had fun. It was the bomb.
Yeah. We also had a good time with Loraine White at WAOK. So this concludes our run at the radio station for today.
Right.
Hang around. We'll be back again.
Knocking them down.
Of the celebrity moments.
Knocking them down. One at a time.
Peace.
Okay, so here she